My wife and I were at a wedding over in Fife yesterday, and we've seen that wind really start to bite. Actually, the difference between going into the church and then coming out 40 minutes later, actually noticeable difference in the temperature of that. That wind was stinging, and as well as that, we've seen some showers rattle through. And although it wasn't snowing or sleeting, the rain actually had an icy component to it. So the signs are all there as those stiff northwesterlies start to blow across Scotland, off Greenland. We're going to see the majority of Scotland, even the low levels across M8 corridor, for example, see its first snow and its first covering of snow of the season. I urge extra caution at this time of year. Folks aren't used to, familiar with driving in wintry conditions. And as tonight progresses, temperatures drop down to near freezing. Those showers become increasingly more snowy. We might see a thin layer of ice start to form in roadways. So dangerous conditions for sure over the next 12 to 24 hours. As next week progresses, after a very cold start, we might see highs struggling to hit 3 or 4 degrees here tomorrow across the central part of Scotland. Up in the Highlands where there's more snow, we might see temperatures the first sub-freezing days of the year up in such places as Dalwhinnie, Aviemore, Braemar, where there's plenty of snow cover over the next few days. As the week progresses, I think we're going to start to see a moderation in temperature as milder air starts to push back in off the Atlantic. But I'm wanting to add a couple of points in, folks. There's a lot of talk, a lot of hype and excitement over the upcoming winter pattern. As the month progresses, folks, many of you are looking at the models, GFS model, European, whatever, and there's plenty of people kind of thinking the snow and the cold isn't going to arrive. There's no signs there. But the pattern itself is very similar, I believe, to 2009. Over across the pond in the United States, we're seeing a very, very strong push. The first, cold wave of the season, significant cold, is going to start to drill south through the western United States into the central plains over the course of the upcoming week. That's very similar to what we've seen back in early and mid-December of 2009. Now, what I'm going to ask you this is a question I'm going to propose to you, is back in the summertime, I forecasted this pattern, which has materialized to the best of my knowledge, and as well as that, I really don't use models. I don't believe that models are accurate enough to predict the pattern a few months out. The models themselves change too much. Now, what gives me the confidence is I'm using the knowledge of the pattern and how these patterns react. Now, of course, every year, every La Nina, El Nino is different every year. We don't get the same type of event year in and year out. But what I'm going to say to you is this, that I do continue to think we're going to see a flip to a negative North Atlantic oscillation as well as an Arctic oscillation as the month progresses. Now, I hope that you're paying attention to the things, the details that I'm talking about and looking at in the forecast. From around the 15th of December, I think we're going to have a gradual decrease in temperature. The cold itself is expanding to the north. And I think if you watch Greenland and the building of the Arctic reservoir over the ice sheet of Greenland, all that cold air is there and over the northern hemisphere. So I would be more concerned if there wasn't really much in the way of cold air to the north, over the Arctic circle, so to speak, northwards towards the pole. Now, in early December of 2009, we've seen, something similar to what we're seeing now. We had a little, a cool down. We had a taste of winter over the course of the early part of December. But I want to ask you this: did you see the cold coming for the latter part of December back in 2009? Because I'll tell you, the pattern didn't suggest anything significant at the start of December. Yet once we hit the 18th to the 19th of December, we've seen off and on snow, which blanketed the majority of the UK by the time we hit Christmas. And I'm holding strong to the idea that that's what's going to happen this year. Remember, folks, that I think the North Atlantic oscillation is going to start to flip as we reach the latter part. So say the last 10 days before Christmas, from about December 15th, don't hone in too much on the fact that it's December 15th. The pattern will then start to change from that point on. I'm not saying for 1 minute that that's when the cold and the snow is going to hit. Then we're plunged into severe winter weather. It's going to be a downward trend as we approach Christmas. So by Christmas, I think that a large part of the UK will have snow cover. But the majority of the cold itself, that rapid flip to a negative North Atlantic oscillation and Arctic oscillation, won't come until we approach New Year. And that's when I think from there, the first 10 to 15 days of the month of January, that is when we're going to see the significant cold. Now, there's a couple of forecasters, long-range forecasters out there that have been a little off in their timing of things. And I wanted to say that don't be bogged down. There's too many of you out there that are watching the forecast models, man-made forecast models. Remember, this it's just a bunch of equations, physics, things like that, and they are inaccurate. I'm a great believer in once you put a forecast out to not chop and change as things change, because remember, folks, there might be a bias towards warming in the models, but that's going to change again. It'll probably change tenfold even by next week. So don't be led in and taken in by what the models are saying, because my forecast has been issued way back in the summertime and I've not changed at all, even though the models might not be going with what I'm saying. So I continue to urge you, don't chop and change. If you have a forecast out there, stick with it, be patient, and if it doesn't happen, then so be it. We're all human, and at the end of the day, it really is a bit of potluck as well as to whether the pattern will evolve the way it does. So I hope you enjoy your day, hope you enjoy the snow, and be careful out there, folks, because the first snowfalls can be very dangerous indeed. Have a great one. Bye-bye.